Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jan Klesla of the Index magazine, and I have the pleasure to welcome you on the next discussion of this year's global stage. Well, we will talk about chaos, and I just came by car from Prague, so I have to admit that there is a lot of chaos in our lives, indeed. However, we have a guest, the man who sees the opportunity in chaos. We have the guest who will talk about the opportunity for each of us and for the whole world, for the whole society. Some call him a futuristic monk. Well, I would say he's a futurist, he's an author, he's a great speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruno Marion.
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, thank you so much for being here with me so I can share my passion, my vision of the world. First, I would like to ask you a question, actually two questions. I would like to know if you feel that our world is becoming more under control or if it's becoming more and more out of control. Under control or out of control. So if you think that our world is becoming more and more under control, please raise your hand. Under control. Okay, thank you very much. And who thinks that our world is becoming more and more out of control? I think a little more. Did anybody raise his hand twice? Yes? Because I am the same. I think this world is becoming more and more under control and more out of control at the same time. Because our world has become more and more chaotic, as I will show you, it has become like a fractal image. What I would like to share with you today are new glasses, new lenses, so you can see a new world emerging. For many, many years, I've been traveling the world, trying to understand the world. And when I was 36, I realized that I didn't have any kids. I didn't have children when I was 36. I still have no children today. And when you are 36, if you don't have any children, basically all your friends, they have children. So every dinner, every weekend is here to remind you that you are different. So at that time, I started to wonder, what's going to be my legacy? What am I going to leave to the universe since I'm not going to leave my DNA? And I was very concerned about that. And at the same time, because I already traveled a lot, I thought that our world was going through an amazing transition, an amazing mega shift. And I thought, look, Bruno, this is going to be your job. Try to find the right lenses, the one I'm going to share with you, the right tools, so you can not only understand this new world, but you can act in this new world. You can create your own new world. So I left my job. I had a quite well-paid and good job. So at 36, even if I was already 36, my parents would call me and say, Bruno, don't do that, stay with your job. Even my friends would do the same. But I did it. I left my job, and I started to travel around the world, reading even more books. I still read more than 100 books every day, every week, every year, not every day, every year. Meeting thousands of people. I met super rich people, super poor people, people in jail, gurus in India, gurus in the Silicon Valley. They are not the same, huh? They are different. CEOs, artists, people from the special forces. Very interesting when you try to understand uncertainty to talk with special forces people. And the more I was traveling, the more people I was meeting, the more books I was reading, the less I was understanding. which makes sense when you think about it, because the more you expose yourself to the world, the more you expose yourself to the complexity of the world. So more and more, I was feeling like a failure. I didn't understand what was happening to us. I didn't find the tools. So I was starting to think maybe I should go back and to the corporate world and find a decent job. And I have a house in south of France, in the middle of nowhere. My closest neighbor is 2 kilometers away and is on the other side of the mountain, so we don't see each other. And I'm traveling a lot, but typically August, the month of August, I don't travel. I take care of my organic vegetable garden. And this year, my first appointment was in Hong Kong. And who has been to Hong Kong? Raise your hand if you have been to Hong Kong. Anybody? Oh yeah, many people. So if you have never been to Hong Kong, I can tell you it's quite busy. And maybe the shock between my house in the middle of nowhere in Hong Kong, I'm like in my hotel, looking down the street, and I don't know, I see people and I'm wondering, but what are they doing? Maybe running from one shopping mall to another shopping mall, and I think our world doesn't make sense. And I was meeting very rich people feeling very miserable. I was meeting poor people being quite happy. I mean, the whole thing was not making sense. And this is that time that I'm like, this whole world is a mess. This whole world has become chaos. And when I told that to myself, I'm like, wait, Bruno, is it chaos like mess? Or is this chaos like in a scientific sense? Because if so, there are some hidden patterns. And today, I would like to share with you one hidden pattern so you can start to see the world in a different way. I would like to share with you new glasses. Glasses are very important to understand the world. Let me tell you one story as an example. In the 80s, 1980, the American automotive manufacturers were very stressed because they felt they were invaded by Japanese. Japanese car manufacturer, were having a bigger and bigger market share every year. So they started to wonder, but what is the secret of Japanese car manufacturer? And at one point they decided, let's go to Japan. Let's go to Japan and let's try to discover the secret of Japanese car manufacturers. And the Japanese were quite welcoming, please come, and they organized a 1-week visit. They visited, so we are talking about the big CEOs of Ford, Chrysler, General Motors, and they visited for 1 week Mitsubishi, Toyota, Nissan. And after 1 week, they come back to the US, they land in the US, and they have all the journalists waiting for them. So, what is the secret of the Japanese car manufacturer? And there is, I think, the GM CEO, and he said, they cheated on us. What do you mean? They made us visit only fake factories. The journalist said, what do you mean by fake factories? And the CEO said, look, I've been in this industry for 35 years. There is something I know. You cannot run a car factory without any stock, without any inventory. And every factory we visited, I checked. There was no inventory. They were fake factory. 30 years later, we know that that was part of the secret of the Japanese, what we call just-in-time, Kanban in Japan. The American car manufacturer, they couldn't see factory working without stock, without inventory, because they didn't have the right glasses. So make sure you have the right glasses to understand the world. This is the world of the past. This map has been designed by an author called Samuel Huntington. He's American, he died 10 years ago, and he wrote a famous book called The Clash of Civilization. And he said in his book, look, you have different civilizations, Chinese, that's a red color, Anglo-Saxon, Indian. You may not agree with him, but that's his colors. This is not the world I'm seeing when I travel. I see a very, very different world. Where is this? Where do you think it is? Any ideas? Look very carefully. This is Paris. If you look at the top right, this is Paris, although it looks like India. Where is this? This is India. This is in Mumbai. Where is this? This is Paris again. Where is this? This is China. The world I'm seeing when I travel is not a world like this, but more a world like that. Which makes a very big difference. Because in the previous world, the other, the stranger, was quite far away. Or if you live by the border, he is on the other side of the border. In this world, where is the stranger? Well, I think he's sitting next to you, huh? Most probably. He's sitting next to you. So if you don't have the right lenses, the right glasses, when you look at that, you think this is a mess. You don't understand. Let me show you another example. This is a map of the result of the last presidential election in the US. In red, the state who statistically voted for Trump, and in blue for Hillary Clinton. So look at the New York State over there, upper right. If you look at this map, you would think that if you drive across New York State with your car, statistically, you will mainly meet Hillary Clinton supporters. But now let me show you another map, which is actually the same map, but not by state, by county. Look at New York State. Actually, if you drive across New York State, you will mostly meet, unless you are in Manhattan, in New York City, you will mostly meet Trump supporters. If you don't have the right map, you don't understand where you are. Another example. The old world, if you were rich, you would travel first class or business class. If you were poor, you would travel economy. I don't think this is the world today. Many people, they are lucky enough to travel in a rich company. Maybe they travel business class all week, and during their weekend or vacation, they travel economy. Or more and more, that's the opposite. Huh? For most companies, you have to travel economy all the week, and maybe you have too many miles. So for vacation, you bring all your family and you travel business class, which makes a very big difference. In the past, let's say you were the marketing director of a big airline company, you would have two colleagues. One would be in charge of the rich customers, one would be in charge of the poor customer. But this doesn't work anymore. Think about one rich customer who's traveling all week long in business class, and for vacation he's traveling economy. If you don't treat him or her well, when he goes back to the office, he said, no, I don't want to travel with this company anymore. If you don't understand that the world has become a fractal image, you will be lost in this world. Who knows, please raise your hand, what is a fractal? What is a fractal image? Anybody? Not bad, I think 20-30%. For all the others, don't worry, I'm going to show you what is a fractal image. One day, I was doing a talk like this one in India. So I was doing it in English, and there were many translators, including French. So I could hear myself talking in English, translated in French. I'm sure you have noticed I'm French, with my French accent. And when we were rehearsing in the afternoon, there were all the technicians and all the translators were there. And the French translator, a woman, she was there with her little daughter. And because she was speaking French, I could understand her. And I heard at one point she said, all these scientific things, I'm not sure I will be able to translate them. I'm a bit anxious. And I could hear her little girl saying, but Mommy, well, that was in French, but Mommy, Don't worry, this is very easy. Actually, she said that. You just draw a circle, and then smaller circle, and then smaller circles, and then smaller ones. That was the image I was using at that time. This is called a Mandelbrot set, after the name of Benoit Mandelbrot, the mathematician who invented the word fractal. So I thought, wait. If kids, they can recognize fractal, maybe I should ask kids, and they will tell us how to recognize it. So a friend of mine, she's a teacher in a primary school in France. So I asked her, can I come with my picture? And I did. And I showed my picture to the kids, and I asked them, what do you see? With you, I'm going to do exactly the opposite. I'm going to tell you what the kids are seeing, and then I will show you the picture. There is a cross, in the cross, in the cross. That was a picture. And here you can see how you can create a fractal image. Tonight or tomorrow, if somebody asks you what is a fractal image, you can answer a fractal image is an image that is approximately the same, whatever the scale. Whatever the scale, it's approximately the same. Another example. You cannot measure how long it is, it never ends. This is called a Koch pattern, according to the mathematician. And as you can see, when you put triangles without the triangles, you are creating a fractal image. Another one, the closer you get or the farther you go, the more the same. This is the Mandelbrot set again, but as a video. I could leave it for an hour and it would be the same. You can feel like you are diving into it, and slowly you start to recognize the pattern coming and coming and coming back again. Why am I telling you about fractal images? For two reasons. First, because as we have seen with the map of the US election or the new Samuel Huntington map, the world is becoming like a fractal image. There is another reason. One thing has been surviving, if not thriving in chaos, that is nature. Nature is giving us many examples of fractals. What is this? This is a cabbage, a leaf. If everything goes well, when you go out of this room, you will start to see fractal everywhere, which is exactly what I want you to be able to do. This is a desert in Algeria, Atacama Desert in Chile. Where is this? Anybody can recognize? This is nowhere. This is an artificial image. I want to show you that fractal images has been a revolution for at least two areas: visual effect in movies and video gaming. Because with a very simple formula, you can create very realistic image. This is the formula, don't try to remember that, but I just want to show you this is super easy. This is a formula to make the Mandelbrot set. With this formula, you can make the video I showed you a couple of minutes ago. Very, very, very simple. What is this? Any idea? This is a cell in your brain. You are fractal. What is this? This is a little part of your lung. You are fractal yourself. I would like to show you a couple of examples on how you can use these new glasses in your life. The past is what I call the linear world, like the map from Samuel Huntington. Very clear borders, very clear separation, like three stages of your life. First, you learn, then you work, and then you rest. There is another stage, but it's not that funny one. I think this world doesn't exist anymore. I'm not saying you should ask kids to work in a very difficult environment, but maybe to ask them to work as project maybe is a good idea. I would like to give you an example. I have a very good friend, Adrian Wagner, he's Dutch, he's living in Amsterdam, and he created a company to help big organizations like big bank, like ING, big Dutch insurance company, to solve their organization or strategy questions with the help of young children, like 10 to 12 years old. So he works with them for 6 months, and he asks them to answer the question. After 6 months, they go in front of the executive committee, and they just find amazing, amazing solutions. I think we are in a world where we should put older people in school to work with young people, young kids, and maybe, as my friend Adrian is doing in Amsterdam, put younger kids in the place we work. So I don't know what is a fractal life. I've been playing a little bit with this image, but one thing I can tell you, which is one of my main advice, make sure that even if you are on your working stage, you still learn. Make sure you learn. Very often, after my talk, people, they come to me and they ask me, Bruno, okay, I have kids. What is the most important thing for them? And one of my answers is, make sure, which is also good for adults, make sure you learn to learn. Make sure you learn to unlearn, that is to say, to forget. Because what you are learning today will not be true tomorrow. Make sure you learn to unlearn, and obviously you learn to learn again. Another example, this is the past, linear life. You dig like in this factory, like it used to be before, raw materials, you produce the product, you buy, you use, you throw away. I hope most of you are already recycling. And there is a next step to that. There is a next step, which is called the blue economy, cradle to cradle, where every step is part of another step. Can you recognize something here? That's a fractal image. When you are able to recognize fractal image, most people, when they don't know what is a fractal image, they look at this and they say, this is a mess. It cannot work. What I want you is to be able to change from, no, this is a mess, it cannot work, to, it seems I'm recognizing something. Please sit down and tell me. Tell me how it works. Another example, money. This is the past. There used to be a couple of big monies, more than 3, but big monies. The world of today, I think, is already looking like this. Many different monies, alternative monies, crypto monies, free monies that we can design ourselves. When I was showing this slide 3 or 4 years ago, most people said, no, Bruno, it cannot work. Now I hope you can be able to recognize the fractal image. In a chaotic world, resilience is important. How to be resilient. So since I'm trying to experiment everything myself, I'm trying to be resilient myself. By the way, this is my house. You remember I talked about my house in an introduction? The little white dot in the middle, this is my house. So I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I've been wondering how to be more resilient for food, for many other things, including energy. So for energy, well, I'm using wood as a fire to heat the place because I have a lot of food around me. I can use the sun to heat the water, to produce electricity. This is the sun also to heat the air. This is my windmill. With this windmill, I can produce 2 times more electricity than I'm actually using every year. And by the way, this is my organic vegetable garden. So if you like ratatouille and you come in the south of France, you can stop by and come and try my ratatouille. At that point, when I tell that to my friends, most people, they ask me, so you can be autonomous. You can live by yourself. So I have a secret to tell you. You cannot be resilient in a chaotic world by yourself. You need other people. We cannot be resilient in this world by ourselves. We must be connected to other people. I'm very happy to be connected to the grid. So when I produce more electricity than what I'm using, I can resell it. When I need more, I can buy it. Which looks like this, which is called a smart grid. You are not a producer or a user of electricity. You can be both. You have big one, smaller one, they are all interacted. This is called a smart grid. Can you recognize the fractal image? Again, when you have the right glasses, you can switch from the mode, it cannot work, to please sit down. I'm recognizing something interesting, like a fractal. Tell me, how does it work? I have two missions for you. I've tried to plant a little seed in your head. Now you have to take care of that seed. My first mission is very easy. For 7 days, starting tomorrow, take 30 seconds every morning, and on your phone or tablet or laptop or whatever, go to Google Image and put fractal. And for 30 seconds every day, don't think, don't try to understand, just look. Just look for 30 seconds. By doing that, you will train your mind, without noticing it, to recognize fractal image. This is my first mission. I have a second mission for you. Thanks to neuroscience, we have discovered that our memory is working in a fractal way. If you want to remember a text, like a one-page text, for the rest of your life, instead of reading it, let's say 1 hour every day for 10 days, for the same amount of time, it's much more efficient to read it for 1 hour today, read it again in 3 days, and then 1 week after that, and then 1 month, and then 3 months. I have designed, so you can test it, so you don't have to believe me, you can try it. I have designed a fractal experiment for you. I've made a special page, web page on my website. So I'll show it to you after that as my conclusion. If you go there, you can enter your first name and your email. I'm not going to send you spam for 10 years, but you will receive 4 or 5 emails from you. The first one, well, they are all bonuses. And the first one, it's the notes I would have taken today, because I don't see many people taking notes. So these are the notes I would have taken if I would be sitting in your seat. And then you will get another email 3 days later, and then 1 month, and then 3 months, and you will see if it helps you to keep in mind what you have discovered today. As a bonus, before my conclusion, I would like to come back on being more resilient. Being resilient means you can not only go through crisis, but if you suffer from the crisis, you can actually repair yourself. Nature, again, knows how to be resilient. And one thing nature is doing is diversity. To be more resilient in this fractal world, in this chaotic world, I think you need more diversity. You remember this map? There is not much diversity. If you live with the red, you live with the red. If you live with the blue, you live with the blue. In this new world, if you learn and if you are willing to interact with the other person sitting next to you, you will have more diversity in your life, and you will be able not only to thrive in this new world, but you will be able also to create a new fractal world that you like. In the email you will receive, in my fractal experiment, one thing you will receive is my anti-crisis guide. How you can see opportunities and not only think about risk. Last thing, remember, one mission for you, 7 days, 30 seconds, fractal image. Second thing, join me here. Try it, just try it, don't believe me. Try it. You should never believe anybody, by the way. Just try yourself. And I hope if you do that, within a couple of weeks, you can say like me that chaos is your friend. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno, for a great and very inspiring speech. And I guess we all would agree that the life today is becoming more and more chaotic and more messy. However, isn't it possible that the whole world order, the whole system, just became too complicated, too complex for us to understand? Just like the fractal image when you see that on your first sight.
It's very important not to misunderstand complex and complicated. I think we are living in a world that is more and more complex, like a fractal image. And this is why this is so important to look for hidden patterns, like fractal images. You remember the formula? Very simple. If you change a little thing in this formula, the result is totally different. You still get a fractal image, but a totally different one. That is to say, if you change something in your life, not a big thing, a very small thing, by repeating, you can totally create a new world. So yes, our world looks more and more complicated. I believe it's becoming actually more and more complex. And this can be good news. Let me tell you why. In the previous world, in what I call the linear world, if you wanted to change something, you needed to be very powerful. That is to say, to be very rich, or to be the CEO of a very big company, or to be the president or the prime minister of your country. Or many of you, and then you can create a revolution. In this new world, because if you change a little thing, that can have a tremendous effect, which is in chaos theory is called the butterfly effect. You never had so much power. You never had so much power. Also in the past, some single people changed many things. If you think about Buddha or Jesus, they changed many things. Only one person. The difference, it took them years, if not centuries. Think for 1 minute if Buddha or Jesus had Twitter and were tweeting like Donald Trump. I'm not sure this is good news, but for sure that could have changed many things. You never had so much power.
They would probably be banned by Facebook or Twitter, because is it even possible to be spiritual leader in today's non-linear world like Buddha or Jesus? Is it even possible in such a chaos?
I think that's a tough question. I think today you have to be your own spiritual leader. In the previous world, well, you can have like a blue spiritual leader in the blue area of the map, a red one in the red area. But in a fractal world, you have to find your own path. You have to find your own spirituality or religion. So I don't see a new religion emerging, which may not be a good news, by the way. I don't think that would be a good news, a new one would emerge. Find your own path. Find your own path.
And what is your personal compass? You mentioned that you had your moment of enlightenment when you were like 36, am I right? So what's your personal compass in the chaotic world?
What I'm doing is I'm implementing in my life many small rituals and routine. One of them, which is very, very important for me in this chaotic world, is I meditate. So typically I meditate every day. And some religious or spiritual leaders, they say that the first stage of believing is just you believe in a religion or in a spiritual faith, and at the same time you doubt. And the second stage is you don't doubt anymore. And the third stage, you don't even ask the question. You just experiment. You do your homework. So I'm trying to do my homework.
You also mentioned the incredible pace of technological changes. Well, but isn't there any technology that can help us in the near future to organize the world, like the artificial intelligence?
I think every technology can be very good news or very bad news. When you are talking about artificial intelligence, for instance, This is something that can learn to learn. So if it can learn to learn, that means it will learn faster and faster, better and better. And some people, especially in the Silicon Valley, they talk about the singularity. And the singularity is the time when computer or machines will have a computing power more powerful than human beings. Some futurists, they say it's coming like in 10 years, some people 50 years, some people 200 years, some people say never. I believe this is coming like in 20 or 30 years.
So you believe...
So to answer your question, the main question that we are all facing is, if machines can do many things, maybe not everything, many things better than us, what does it mean to be human? In the past, what it is to be human was a question for the philosopher, for the religious leader. Now, I think this is a question for all of us, for all of you. What does it mean to be human? That was a luxury to ask this question in the past. Now, I think this is the most urgent question. What if you don't want to be in competition with machines? Ask yourself, how I am more human day after day.
So you believe in general AI, in thinking machine. Isn't that religion?
Talking about general AI, I met the most knowledgeable expert who can prove to me that this is going to happen in 20 years, and the most knowledgeable expert who can prove me that it is not going to happen. I think it doesn't change the question. Whether this is going to happen, even if the general artificial intelligence doesn't happen, there will be many other type of limited artificial intelligence. So we still have to face this question. What does it mean to be human?
Well, talking about the technology and the speed of change, well, it's almost 100 years when we like woke up from a terrible war and realized there are planes on the sky. And probably now we are living in the first era when the technological change is quite fast, but without any war. Isn't that one of the biggest changes in history? We are not fighting, and the technology is still coming faster and faster.
There are many books showing that we are living in a less and less violent world. Although we may think, because you're watching TV too much, you think this world is becoming more and more violent, but it's actually becoming less and less violent. It doesn't mean that we cannot have a new war, unfortunately. So even if this world apparently in the past 50 or 60 years has become less and less violent, it doesn't guarantee us that there won't be any war. And all talking about artificial intelligence, when you think about the autonomous killer robot, this is totally frightening. Personally, I don't want this on my planet. So again, technology is amazing. It's going at an amazing speed. And we have to do our share. We have to decide what do we want to do with all these technologies.
Well, and sorry. Well, you also mentioned that there could be some kind of collapse of civilization, and you talk about it a lot. So where's the border? We shall not cross. Where's the border? We need to see to avoid the collapse of civilization.
You know, sometimes people they ask me, okay, Bruno, as a futurist, are you optimistic or pessimistic? Do you think our world will collapse, or there will be a big breakthrough and a new world is going to emerge? I need to tell you the truth. Sometimes I have good days, and sometimes I have bad days. On good days, I wake up and I feel like, we are all going to wake up and hold our hands and be friends and love each other, hug each other, and realize that we only have, before Elon Musk takes us to Mars, we only have one planet. And we should take care of our human friends and of this planet. These are very good days. And some very bad days, I just wake up and I think, well, this is too late. Just think about climate change. Maybe it's too late. So that's my bad days. And in the middle, I'm wondering how many crises do we need to go through? How many slap in the face do we need to realize that we have together to create this new world where we can live in harmony all together on this planet?
Let me stay a little bit more pessimistic. What about the politics? What about our democracy? What is going on there in the light of the chaos theory?
Oh, this is a very tricky question. Our political system is very well adapted to the past. I think it's not adapted to the present. When you look at the lighthouse of democracy in the world today, what, the US? Are you sure democracy is working well these days in the US? I'm not even talking about Trump. Think that more than half of the population is not voting in the US. I'm coming from France, supposedly another example of good democracy. It's the same. More and more people, they are not voting, especially young people. So it's supposed to be the best system in the world, democracy, but people are not taking part of it. The old system is based on the belief that I'm going to vote for somebody who is smarter than me and who is going to take decision for me, affecting my life and my community for the next 4, 5, or 6 years, which at that time, 50 years ago, was true. You would vote for the smarter person in the village or in the town, and depending on where you were living, it was not like that everywhere, obviously. They would take decision for you. Today, in this complex world, who can believe that any politician, man or woman, can know everything about this world and understand all these changes for the next 4 years? I don't believe that. I think we should keep the best of democracy and experiment new ways. Let me give you an example. If we have to think about, let's take a very difficult problem like end of life. Should we help people to commit suicide when they are suffering from a very bad disease? That's a very spiritual question. Who can decide? Personally, as a citizen, I would suggest, like in a fractal image, that you put people in a room or in a group, and you would put maybe elected people, maybe some member of parliament. Let's keep part of the existing system. You would put some spiritual leaders, some religious leader. You would put people that you just draft by chance, maybe you, maybe some union leaders. I don't know, you decide. And like in a fractal image, you would put all these people and you would tell them, look, this is a very important matter. You have 1 year to decide. You can travel, this is a budget. You can check what they are doing in other countries. Please work together, and in 1 year, you tell us what is the best. As a citizen, I would be ready to follow their advice more than any politician advice, even if their advice is against my own belief and way of seeing the world. So I think we need to experiment new type of governance.
So some kind of good old meritocracy, like the Platonic one, but that didn't happen like for thousands of years. So why should that be possible today?
We should mix things. I don't believe that there is one perfect system that is going to emerge everywhere for everybody. I'm sure in this room, some people, they have ideas. They should experiment it. Try it. If it works, then it will spread. It will spread like a virus, a positive virus. Everybody will steal the idea. So whether we talk about democracy or new ways of living together, we need to experiment and see what works and what doesn't work.
Well, and another thing that is linear, still very linear, is the law. Our regulations, our rules, still saying if you do something, then something, or if you don't do something, then something. So is there any change needed in the new nonlinear world to the legal systems, to the whole organization of the society?
The way laws and rules are decided should be changed, but they are already. Maybe some of you are using Bitcoins. Bitcoin has not been designed by a state. The rules have been designed by the software itself, if I make things very simple. It's not law designed or rules designed by a state. So we can design, talking about money, talking about governance, we can design our own rules. And if you're okay with it, we can work together. Like in a fractal image, if you're not happy with my rules, you can go to another place. So I think more and more, there will be rules valid for the world, I hope, like respect each other. That would be a good one. Huh? It's not new. It's been around for millenniums. And on the other side, there will be just rules that we design for ourselves.
So some kind of decentralized governance based
To a
on
certain
blockchain
extent.
or something
Yes,
like that?
absolutely, yes. I believe in that.
You believe in blockchain and decentralized economics and society?
Yes, I believe that we will have more and more I don't want to call it centralized, but if we want to solve climate change, it's not me in my garden. We need to make decisions at a global level. So more and more global way of deciding, and at the same time, more and more local things. Many things we don't need the state to decide. More global, more local at the same time.
You also work as an advisor to big companies, to CEOs. What is their take on these issues, on the nonlinear world? Are they agree? Are they even able to see that?
Well, this is, I don't know what to say, because I think most organizations I'm working with, most companies, they are going to die. They are going to disappear. Because they are so in the old way of thinking. In a chaotic world, three things you need. New glasses, the fractal glasses. You need a dream, second thing. And you need small rituals, small processes, like I just mentioned. You need a dream. For many companies, their dream is to make 20% more money. I don't think this is a dream. So many companies, many CEOs I meet, I think they are lost. And some of them are not. Some really have a vision, and they are experimenting new ways of working. And there are many, many of them. And I see that not only with companies, I see it even more with NGOs. There are so many new ways of working efficiently. And I do believe that during these days here at Melting Pot, you're going to meet many of them who are experimenting new ways. Any ideas you like, steal it and try it for yourself.
Thank you. Well, we have like 10 minutes more, and I want to ask you if you have any questions. Well, in quite a linear way, so please just raise your hand and ask the question and wait for the microphone. So, is there anyone having a question? Can't see. Oh, there is one. Wait for the microphone, please.
Hello. What is your dream? Because you were saying that some CEOs don't have special dream. Do you have any dream?
What is my dream?
Yes.
Yes, I do. I do have a dream, and it's quite simple for me to understand, to answer. Well, there are different levels, and some part is very personal, and sometimes it's not that personal. I don't have only one dream. I'm using mostly two dreams. I have one which is a very long-term dream, and one which is for the year. And to make sure your dream is happening, first you need to have one. So I would strongly suggest that maybe you take 5 minutes. If you meditate, meditate. If you don't meditate, go walk. It's better if you go in nature. Huh? Go in a forest, walk for 10 minutes, an hour, and try to think, where do you want to be in 1 year, or in 20 years, What do you want to achieve in your life? And it doesn't have to be big dreams. It can be. Maybe you're Elon Musk and you want to be on Mars. Or you just want to have a nice family, or you want to have your kids visiting you when they get older. I don't know. Have a dream. Write it down. Write it down and read it. Read it every day. So my dream, I read it every day. So I'll give you the two examples. The first thing I'm reading every day, I'm reading, I want to be part of this change of the world. And this is the first sentence. It's in French, because I'm reading in French. I believe we are going through an amazing transition in consciousness, if that means something for you, and in humankind. And I want to do my share. That's the first thing. And I also have very practical things, like I realized last winter that I don't like the cold. Cold weather, it's not for me. So, and I do my dream, my yearly dream in January, early January. So I was in France and I'm like, no, I see myself next year, next winter, in an island, somewhere very warm, with a nice view on the water. It's a dream, so why not? I wrote it down. And every day, when I'm reading this dream, I'm not only reading it, I am living it. I can feel the warm air. I can see, in my mind, I can see the you're not going to believe me. I'm sure you're not going to believe me. But if you come, I'll show you my email. I booked the house yesterday. It's in Koh Phangan, in Thailand. And if you come after I'll show you the picture. Amazing 360 view on the ocean. I still don't know how I am going to pay for it. But this is my dream. I booked it, and I know this is going to work. So yes, I do have dream, and I encourage all of you to have long-term dream and maybe shorter, like 1 year dream.
So, as a futurist, you don't want to go to Mars with Elon Musk?
I could. I mean, I find it very fascinating, but it's not part of my dream. That's interesting. It didn't come to me. I think my dream is to do my part on this planet.
Something more futuristic, or something like the singularity. I would guess something more, you know.
Well, Jan, I think to be part of a new consciousness, I think this is kind of futuristic. When I ask the question what it is to be human, I think this is a very futuristic question. Let me ask more precisely. Let's say they change your arm and they put you an artificial arm. Where is the limit? Are you still human if the artificial part stops here or here? If they change your arm, your two legs, your heart, and your brain, are you still human? So I think answering this question and being part of the new human, whatever you want it to be, I believe this is quite futuristic, even on this planet, not on Mars.
Well, another questions, please. Right there in the middle. May I ask for the microphone? Right there.
Hello, good afternoon. In your point of view, what would it take for people to start considering the new problems that are facing us in the future, rather than old problems which are kind of dying out? And I mean specifically like old religions, or the religions that we still have today, where the religious leaders fight about whether the God was this way or that way, and they don't care about global warming or artificial intelligence, anything. So most of the people are still in this phase. So what, in your view, would take it for the world to move forward and just make these topics more prevalent in general discussions?
Oh, that's a very easy question for me. Only you can change the world. Yes, religion have been in the past a good way to help evolution. in consciousness and in humankind. Then for many of them, it went bad at a certain point, according to my vision. But my point is, don't look at religion. Don't look at a new political system. My answer is do your homework. Do your homework. And because you never had so much power, like the butterfly effect, you will change the world. So if you are a religious leader, try to use religion to do better things. If you are not, just define your dream and read it every day. Do your part. If you can create something for your community or for your family, for your whatever, do it. Do it. I don't believe in a new big solution that fits everybody. By the way, we tried that. We tried, or you tried here socialism. We tried capitalism. I think now we can say that both are not going to work in a sustainable way. The capitalism is not destroying this planet. A big solution that fits everybody, I don't believe in that. We must all create our own solution. So if you want to change the world, if you want to be part of its change, just do your homework. Do your little part. And for one of us, that will have a tremendous impact.
And another question, maybe the last one, but we still have time. So I can't see anyone? No one? So let me ask you about the so-called butterfly effect. It's quite a known term, but could you give us an example to motivate us to do the homework of such a butterfly effect?
It's a very common example to talk about the Arab Spring, a small event trigger amazing effect. You may think that the effect after a couple of years are not so good, but that's not the question. Before it happened, nobody could predict this could happen, and it had a huge effect, whether good or bad. And I think it's not finished. That's one example. I have another example. Maybe some of you have seen on YouTube, like a year ago, there was this several videos of this United Airlines passenger in the US, actually from Canada to the US, who was taken out of the plane because they had not enough seats. And they just dragged him in the aisle. And of course, everybody has a mobile phone. So they took, and I wanted to check once to put a video of that on my presentation. I could find more than 10. That means more than 10 people took a video of this passenger. This cost millions to United Airlines. They have spent millions with the best PR agency, crisis management agency. It didn't have as much power as one single mobile phone. One single mobile phone, one tweet can change the world today. And there are many, many examples of that.
And we hope it will change it for good. So thank you very much. Thank you all for coming today in this rainy afternoon.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Bruno.
Thank you, and join me. If you write to me, you'll get email from my own address. If you write to me, it's not an artificial intelligence that it's going to reply to you. I'm going to reply myself. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks all.
Thank you. Thank you.